Today we're making an apple and molasses glazed pork tenderloin. We'd like to thank Quincey, who left this recipe for us over on our Facebook page. Alright, this brine is a little different than what I usually make. We've got 3 cups of apple juice. I'm going to take a 1/4 cup kosher salt. Now if you want, you could heat this up and then let it cool down. That's going to take a lot more time. I'm going to get it all dissolved up, and as soon as I do, we'll put the 3rd ingredient for this brine. Alright, we've got our salt all dissolved. Now I've got 1/4 cup of molasses. We're just going to blend this in nicely. Don't want to waste any of those molasses. Now I've got 2 pork tenderloins here. I've trimmed up a little bit. We're going to get them in the bag. Now we're going to take this, I don't know if you want to call it a brine, a marinade, whatever. Going to pour it in here. Okay. And I'm going to put this, boy, it smells good. I'm going to put this in the fridge. And we're going to let this, let me get the air out. We're going to let this sit in the fridge overnight and then give it a cook tomorrow. Alright, our pork tenderloins have brined overnight. They've actually been brining about 18 hours. Now, what I'm going to do, pretty simple here, just going to take them out, and I'm going to dry them off with some paper towels. I'm going to discard this brine. We're just going to dry these off. You know, we had that salt in there. Just want to make sure they're not too salty. And then as soon as I get this, all dried off, I'll show you how we're going to season them. Now the only thing I'm doing different than Quincey's recipe that he sent us on Facebook is I am going to season it with this pork candy sweet hickory rub. I love this rub. I think all it'll do is just add one more layer of flavor when we start to cook this guy. So like I said, this is actually a deviation to Quincey's recipe, so if you don't have this, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you do have a pork rub you like, I would encourage you to give it a try. And then once I get each side seasoned, we'll move on over to the Masterbuilt Smoker. Now for this cook today, just like Quincey described in the recipe, I'm using apple wood. And then in the water tray, I've got it half full of apple juice. We're just going to get each of these pork tenderloins in here. I'll get it closed up, and we'll check on them in about 45 minutes to see the temp. Now let's get that glaze going while our pork tenderloin is smoking. We're going to put 3 cups of apple juice, same apple juice we used for the brine. We're going to put 1/4 cup of molasses again. And before you say, hey, why didn't we just reheat the brine? Because we don't want that salt. That's why we discarded the brine. And then here what I've got is a 1/2 teaspoon each of allspice and cinnamon. Now I'm just going to heat this up, bring it to a simmer, and you can see it's very liquidy from the 3 cups of apple juice. We'll want to reduce this down by at least 1/2. You can see I inserted my external probe, but I'm also going to just double check here. We're getting up, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's about 138, 139. Now, you know, most folks will cook pork tenderloin anywhere from 145 to 160. I usually like to cook mine to about 150. My kids won't eat anything that's too pink. Now, a couple words on this sauce. If you'll remember, we use quite a bit of apple juice, so I've learned that it takes a long time for this to reduce. And in fact, I never get it too thick. I've made this recipe twice now. But anyway, the point is budget a minimum of 30 minutes. And in fact, if you can tend to it, you might even want to shoot for 45 or so. This pork tenderloin, unfortunately I did not time it, but it usually only takes an hour or a little bit more. So I've got our sauce on here. I'm going to shut this door. We're going to let it cook some more, probably up till it gets right around 145, and then I'll flip it over and sauce the other side. These are just now at 146, and like I said, I want to take these off when they get at 150. So I'm going to glaze them one more time here with that sauce, and then when they get to 150, we're going to pull them off. We're going to let them rest, and then give them a taste. All right. Hopefully you can see that our temperature's right at 151. I said I want to take it out when it was 150. So let's get these guys out of here. Turned out to be a really nice day here. It was kind of cloudy earlier. This got a little parsley, right? You don't have to have this. This is just for color. Right? And then I'm finally going to get to use my new knife here. I got this, one of the first things I ever bought on Etsy from Sinscape Studios. We're in Florida, so this is made with cypress wood. I mean, I'm really looking forward to trying this out. So let's just cut right in the middle. Okay. And we'll get this guy turned around. Let me get this one out of the way so we can see what the heck's going on. Let me see here. Here's what we got. It's really juicy. I see the juice coming out of it. Quite tender. I mean, look, it just almost comes apart, by itself. So, the proof is in the taste test, right? I'm going to try to get you a little bit closer view. I'm going to eat this piece, so I guess I can touch it. It's probably, it's really moist. Let's give it a try. Oh my goodness. Okay, I've made this recipe twice. First time I made it, I wasn't paying attention. I was watching basketball, and I overcooked the pork tenderloins. This time, I added the temperature probe to it. I kept a close eye on it. There's some sweetness, but it's very, very faint. There's some smoke, very, very faint. And I'm sure the sweetness comes from both that apple juice and the molasses. I got to tell you, it's quite good. And again, I have to extend a thanks to Quincey, like I said earlier, who put this recipe on our Facebook page. Hey, if you're not a subscriber already, I hope you hit that armadillo pepper icon. That'll get you subscribed. You got any questions, comments? Leave them below.